The Boston Celtics down the Milwaukee Bucks in a nail-biting game. Plus, we got a full slate of games tonight going down on Friday. We're going to get into all and more on today's Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. I'm Haize. That's Swipa from Locked On Nuggets. And you can start the season today with the big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Swipa, let's get started on a fun game tonight. It was a lot of fun games tonight, but the Celtics get past the Milwaukee Bucks in this game. This was a game that came down to the wire. The Bucks definitely had a chance to win this game. They make a mistake down the stretch of this one. How'd you feel about this game, Swipe?
Well, this was a very highly contested game. And coming into it, there were a lot of expectations that it was going to be a great one. You know, I think Giannis Antetokounmpo had earned his way into a top 2 MVP bid so far this year. I think that Damian Lillard had really started to look really good. I believe this is his 6th straight game today that he's had over 25 points with the Milwaukee Bucks, which is a really, really nice run for him. And then on top of that, JB and JT, they ain't been nothing to play with. And obviously coming off of a championship, you know, they've been grinding all year. They don't have the best record in the Eastern Conference because the Cavaliers have it, but they have been excellent in their own way. And today, you got a chance to see Giannis put up a really good performance, give you a nice 30-11 game. And this is actually one of the worst games he's had over the last 10 or 12, which is nuts to say about Giannis having 30-11. But Damian Lillard, the shot making that he had a drive dunk in the clutch. That was a super important bucket. But man, the thing that makes the Celtics so dangerous is that when JT is playing like this, and JT today had 34, 10, and 5, and he shot 60% from the field and 40% from the three-point line and 75% from the free throw line. When he's playing like that, they almost become near unbeatable because Jayson Tatum, Haize, he had a three-pointer that he made over Brook Lopez. He came around the screen. They tried to catch, and then Brook just jumped a little bit too far out, fouled JT on the 3, and JT made it. And I'll tell you this, you know, I've definitely have had my criticism of Jayson Tatum in the clutch because he has not always been a good clutch player in the regular season, had some really good playoff moments in the clutch. Obviously, the 50 ball that he put up and then a 16-point performance he had, I believe, in Game 6 versus Philadelphia a couple years ago. But, man, like, his passing was so good because every time they kept doubling him at the top of the key, he would pass it out either to Horford or he was finding Drew Holiday on the little roll to the basket and giving him opportunities. And even in the last possession that they needed to get a go-ahead bucket to put him away, it was Jayson Tatum orchestrating those possessions. And again, you get 25 from Jaylen Brown on 10 of 21. You get 34 from JT on 12 of 20. And then from Drew Holiday, 25 and 6, 7 of 14, only takes 2 free throws in the game, but he makes the free throws to ice the game and to put it away and to put them really in the driver's seat the rest of the way, man. It was just an incredible game from Joe Mazzulla. And shout out to the way he got them to believe in what they're supposed to do, because even like Sam Hauser, like coming off the bench and scoring well, and the defense that he's plays, he got matched up with Giannis multiple possessions. Now, he's not stopping Giannis or even containing him to some degree, but what he does is he battled long enough for Al Horford to be able to recover. And shout out Al Horford. He only had 1 3, I believe, that he makes today, and it happens to be the one that puts them ahead and helps them to win the game today. Or he made 2 threes today, and then helps them put the game away at the end of the game. So just incredible, Haize, man. I honestly was watching the whole 4th quarter, and they were going back and forth, and I was just like, this is peak Eastern Conference basketball.
Yeah, that was great. And we're actually going to hear from John Corrales from Locked On Celtics right now because he has some thoughts on this game as well.
Took a while. Felt like a playoff game. The Celtics end up getting this win over the Milwaukee Bucks. They overcame an 0 for 12 from 3 quarter in the second quarter. Celtics don't often go 0 for 12 from 3 1/4. In fact, it's been more than 100 quarters since the Celtics had done that. But still, at halftime, they were only down 3. So to shoot that poorly and still be within single digits, considering how Damian Lillard was shooting, considering that Giannis Antetokounmpo was doing his thing, the Celtics stayed with it, and in the fourth quarter started hitting shots, went on a 16-6 run down the stretch. Drew Holiday was huge, making some pretty clutch plays, and the Celtics pulled this out. It was a tough one. Like I said, gritty, tough playoff feel. They sweep the Milwaukee Bucks. They're done playing each other, which is a weird quirk, and the Celtics win all 3.
That's really weird that we could already say that they've swept the Milwaukee Bucks at the beginning of the season already. Like it is funny that's done, but I agree with John. This did feel like a playoff game, and it really did have that environment, especially when you look at the fourth quarter and them going back and forth. Either team could have won this one. The Celtics just performed better down the stretch of this game, but this was one of the more fun games to watch tonight for sure.
And I don't know if you remember possession by possession, Haize, but do you remember Giannis taking that pull-up 3 in the left wing?
Yeah.
He hadn't taken a 3 the entire game. And he had been forcing the issue to the rim, and it had been working out for him for the most part. And he made a couple mid-range shots in the second half as well. Giannis gets the ball, y'all, and this was the turning point. The Bucks were down 1 or up 1. They might have been up 1 at this point. And Giannis gets the ball. I'm talking about like a bunch of time left on the shot clock, pulls a 3, doesn't make it. And then instead of just simply going at Al Horford, who he was guarding, Al Horford 4 seconds later runs to court, gets the ball on the right wing and decks a 3 and puts him up. And that really swung the game. And matter of fact, I want to say, I think the Bucks might have been down 1, and then Al Horford put them up 4 with that ball. And then it just from there, it was really them the rest of the way. So Giannis, like I said, played really well, but that was a huge turning point. And then on top of that, the last possession the Bucks had, they tried to get the ball to get into an action to see if they can get a score, obviously, to get back in the game. And Giannis turned the ball over, like just threw an errant pass, and it gets intercepted. And so when you're playing versus the Celtics, man, you got to be like on your P's and Q's whenever you're playing them, especially in the clutch situations.
Yeah, the margin for error there is very small. Let's move on. The 76ers get a win over the Orlando Magic, 102-94. Swiper, I got a question to ask for you in this one. Is it starting to be safe to say that maybe the 76ers are starting to turn that corner? They've won 3 out of the last 4 games. They did lose Wednesday against the Magic. Turn around and win this game today. The Magic, one of the best defenses. I think they have the best defensive rating in the game of basketball right now. 76ers still 6-15 on the season overall. Paul George, in this game, his second game back, has 21 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds in this game. Tyrese Maxey with 16. This felt like a different type of win for the 76ers. Do you think they're on their way back there, Swiper, or is this just a win we got to see more from them?
No, they're not on their way back. No, okay. They're 6-15 now in the Eastern Conference because the East is so clogged up and towards the bottom. Like the Wolves the Bulls are sitting at the 10 seed right now. So yeah, I mean they're only 2.5 games back. So they go on a nice little run. Embiid plays and he looks good in a couple games in a couple weeks. Then yeah, of course, like then they can absolutely get back in the picture. But in terms of the season, no. The amount of work that they're going to have to do to try to get back into the picture, and then on top of that, having 2 injury-prone players at the small forward spot and at the center spot, no, I don't think it's turning anything. But I do think tonight was a really good win. And again, also want to continue to contextualize this. Obviously, no Embiid, but no Paolo Banchero. Obviously, Franz Wagner from having an incredible run. He had 35-5 again today. He has been like legitimately an all NBA level player since Paolo went down. So it was a good win though. Like, of course, like they're proving that they still have guys that can help to get the job done. And Jeremy Kane didn't even have a really good game today. Only had 7 points off the bench. So it was a really, really tough, well-earned win for them.
Yeah, definitely well-earned win. And it's good to see the 76ers starting to string some wins together. And like you said, because of how close that Eastern Conference is, they're not completely out of it yet. And I did have marked for me that they had to start winning some games between now and January if they wanted to have a chance and that thing not get too far away from them. Let's see if they can start stringing some more wins together. But we do have a video here from Philip from Locked On Magic. We're going to go ahead and play that real quick.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic. It's the Orlando Magic and their road trip with a 102-94 loss to the Philadelphia 76ers. Once again, Franz Wagner was simply amazing. 30 points, carrying the bulk of the offense for the Orlando Magic. But at the end of the day, it can't just be Franz Wagner. And while we know Paolo Banchero is coming back here probably around Christmas or a little bit shortly after Christmas, toward the end of the month, and the Magic have been wildly successful in the interim, the Magic still run into games like this where they don't make the three-pointers, even when they get good looks, and their offense just falls flat. The Magic scored just 32 points, got outscored 46-32 in the middle two quarters. And while that is a testament to the level of this Magic defense, it is also a testament that the Magic need something more. When the Magic came back, they're down 17 early in the fourth quarter. The Magic came back, it was because Jalen Suggs started getting hot, started making threes, started making shots in the paint. The Magic needs someone else to attack. It can't just be Franz.
How much do they have to stay afloat when Paolo Banchero when he comes back? Do you view this Magic team yet as a legitimate threat to come out the Eastern Conference, or are they just a really good team that still have a lot to prove before you can say?
No, they don't have the shot making. No way.
Yeah,
no way. They don't have the shot making.
They're, I think, the worst in the league as far as 3-point shooting percentage.
Yeah, they don't have a chance. No. Cleveland and the Celtics would absolutely body them. No, they just, this is the development year. You know, they're early in the process. You don't even have, like, you know, Paolo and Franz are both going to be max guys, but like they don't have any timeline that they have to win right now. So, you know, everything they're doing right now for me is just additive. It's like this is proof of concept for the Orlando Magic.
I completely agree with you there. All right, we're going to get into a message from one of our sponsors, man. On the other side of that, we're going to be talking about the Wolves getting their fourth win in a row. But first, we got to get to a message from Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here. With Robinhood Gold, sign up at robinhoodgold.com. Terms apply. For specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing, of course, involves risk. Rate may change, and gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. More Locked On Game Night coming up next. All right, Swiper. The Minnesota Timberwolves get their fourth win in a row. This one comes after they lost 4 games in a row. They get the 107-90 victory over the Warriors today. How you feeling about this game here, Swiper?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a really good win for them. Anthony Edwards had another really good game today, 30 and 9 assists, plus 23, dominated this minutes. Julius Randle, you know, nice little 15 points. Really good game defensively from Rudy Gobert. But the Warriors are just flawed, and I don't want to be mean at all, but like the Warriors were never as good as what they were to start the year off. Buddy Hield was playing like an all NBA player. He was shooting the lights out. The team was really kind of feeling themselves, and obviously DeAnthony Melton was there on the roster at that point in time. They had a lot of things going really well for them, but overall, that team is just not talented as it needs to be to contend in the Western Conference. And I think you saw the disparity today. Haize, they don't have a secondary shot creator, not a real one,
not even remotely.
They cannot generate offense without Steph Curry in there. Now, again, to be fair though, they did just beat a good team in the Houston Rockets without Steph Curry and Draymond Green, so they obviously can do it certain nights. But consistently, Steph Curry at this version, he's averaging around 22 points per game, you know, being efficient, but he's not like MVP level Steph Curry right now. And again, it's going to be really hard for them to sustain winning and then staying in the playoff hunt if Steph is going to be this level of player. And maybe that's just where he is at this point in time in his career, in his late 30s. But I think that the Wolves, just their size, and also too, the game also changed in the last 5 minutes. Draymond Green had not a wide open, but had a look at the rim on a layup, gets blocked at the rim, and then it turns into a 3-point shot for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and the lead goes from 10 to 13, and then Anthony Edwards hits a pull-up, I think double teamed, and it goes up to 15. And by that point, 4.5 minutes left, the game was over. So, yeah, man, I just think the Warriors, I think they're in a tough spot, man. I just don't think their roster is good enough. And I don't think Steph is able to kind of to floor raise like he would need to help them to be good. And, you know, they're just going to be in a situation where they're probably going to be getting cooked a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and Buddy Hield went from averaging 20 points off the bench, and now he's 3 games straight of scoring in single figures. They're going to need more from him than that. Draymond, who at the start of the season was looking back to being that defensive presence that he's been before, he's starting to slide again. So, like, it's just what the Warriors were doing was fun to watch at that time. But to your point, it was never sustainable. It never really seemed like it's sustainable. Now, they're going to win some regular season games this year, but if anybody had hopes of this Warriors team making some noise in the playoffs or going on a deep playoff run or anything like that, I just think it's proven that that's just not this team. That's not what this team's going to be. Now, when you look at the Wolves side of it, winning 4 games in a row after losing 4 games in a row, that's good. But I'll still say this, and you can tell me how you feel, Swiper. I still don't trust this Minnesota Timberwolves team really at all. Like, I feel like this season is going to end up turning into a punt for them, and what they do in the offseason is going to be really important because it's just clear Julius Randle just does not fit with this team. The trade made this team worse, and it is what it is when it comes down to it. Good win today, starters scoring in double figures, but the Timberwolves overall, if you're looking at the outlook of their season, great to win 4 games in a row. They still got a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're a really good team. They're going to be a top tier, I think, regular season team, probably still in the Western Conference. But yeah, I think to your point, you know, tonight that the Wolves, they had a 95.7 half court offensive rating today. Now their defense was great. Granted, they played a Warriors. They kept them to an 81 half court offensive rating today. So they have the means to still be like a very good to elite defense. The problem is because of their personnel changes, they wax and wane in their effort and in their communication defensively, which is what affects them more than anything else. And then again, down the stretch of the games, if Mike Conley is continuing to decline because he, again, in his late 30s, they don't have like a true table setter on the roster. I mean, Anthony Edwards is a good playmaker, good scorer. Rob Dillingham, he can get there at some point in time. Nickeil's a true combo guard. That's not what he does. They're going to run into a lot of issues offensively, I think. And I think with Julius Randle in particular, he creates more defensive issues and deficiencies within the center of their defense than they had previously with Karl-Anthony Towns. So, again, still a really good team, still a very talented team, but they will absolutely have things that they'll have to work on throughout the year.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Let's move on to the next game. The Los Angeles Lakers lose to the Atlanta Hawks in overtime. We actually have one of the hosts of Locked On Lakers here, man. We're going to go ahead and play their clip now.
This is Brian Kamenetsky, co-host of Locked On Lakers. The Lakers play better than they have been, low bar to clear, on Friday in Atlanta, but they still lose, this time an overtime heartbreaker, 134-132 to Atlanta. Great games from Anthony Davis and LeBron James. 38 from Davis on 15 of 27 from the floor, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. He had a pair of blocks. LeBron, 39 points, 6 of 11 from three-point range. But unfortunately, the 11th one was the potential game winner that he missed by a fairly decent margin. He also had 10 rebounds and 11 assists. So again, the Lakers played better, significantly better than they have over their last few games in this one. Still didn't have the defense to pull it through. And more importantly, just made a lot of little mistakes down the stretch that piled up to the point that they could not close this game out. We'll have much more to come after this game. So be looking out for a fuller show. But again, Lakers lose 134-132. We'll see everyone on Locked On Lakers.
Haize.
Trying to paint that as if the Lakers, like, don't get me wrong, they did make mistakes down the stretch of this game, and 77 points combined from Anthony Davis and LeBron James is great, but let's be clear here. To me, the Hawks won this game. Swiper, look like you disagree with that as well.
No, they absolutely did, but I'm trying to understand, Haize, are the Lakers 2-7 in their last 9?
Yeah.
Because they started off 10-4, didn't they?
Yep.
And they're 12-11.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You want to talk about a sinking ship. Yeah, they look terrible. But again, I want to give the Lakers credit. They competed today.
That's fine.
Like, we couldn't say that. the last 2 weeks for the Lakers. They competed. And I did not at all think that LeBron James was going to be able to pull this out of a hat. He has it in him to do it. But again, 39, 10, and 11 versus, I would say a good Hawks team that has Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels on it that are good defenders. Like, they got a couple bigs on the roster. That was a really good game, but his jumper was flowing. Anthony Davis having 38 and 10 and 8. They were, again, this is what you hope for. Like, this is the proof of concept. Like, oh, man, we got two guys that can do it. But now it's like, but is the team around them going to be able to show up and do their job? But again, Haize, their defense is abysmal. And even in the last play they had, LeBron James get the block at the rim. There's a little bit of a messy transition. There's a jump ball. The Hawks get the ball, and then Trae Young. They basically run a screen and pop at the top of the key with Trae Young and another. It might have been DeAndre Hunter. I can't remember exactly who it was, and they just leave Trae. Like, Trae just floats right to the left wing. Nobody follows him, and then Trae Young, wide open look, just buries it, and LeBron throws up a Hail Mary to see if it will go in, and obviously doesn't hit anything at all except for the backboard. So, again, the Lakers' defensive issues, their lack of communication, and their waxing and waning and the effort they give defensively, it all came back to bite them today. But shout out to LeBron and Anthony Davis for scoring and playmaking as well as they did. And also shout out to Trae Young, yo. Again, you're not going to hear these stat lines regularly. And Trae Young is always going to be in this fringe conversation as an all-star, always in fringe all-NBA conversation, Haize, because for whatever reason, people don't like him. They don't love the way he plays. But Haize, he had 31 points and 20 assists today. You're not going to find many players that are able to do that in the history of the NBA. So shout out to Trae Young.
Yeah, Trae Young had a big night tonight, as well as big contributions off the bench for Bogdanovich, Hunton, and Okongwu. They combined over 60 points off the bench. This was a fun game to watch, and it was an unexpected fun game because I didn't have this game on my board at all. I tuned in probably about 5 minutes into the third quarter, and I was just like, hey, this is a really good game to finish out watching this game. So shout out to the Lakers and the Hawks going into overtime. We're going to get into the last segment for today's show. We got 3 games left to be covered, but first, got to get to a message from FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. That's FanDuel giving you guys a leg up to be able to get all the information that you need to place an informed bet on the same exact page where you can place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Or game night coming up next. All right, we got a few games to get into before we get up out of here today. The Kings win over the Spurs 140-113. The Kings have been having a problem kind of finding balance on their offense. They're a team that, like most of the roster, likes to get out and play fast. But when you have DeMar DeRozan on your team, that kind of limits that. Put up 140 points today. I know it was against the Spurs team that wasn't whole. How'd you feel about this game?
Hey, shout out to the Kings. Like, this is a good win. And honestly, at this point in time, like, if you just look at the way the Western Conference is going, Haize, it don't matter who you're playing. You got to get a win, and you got to be able to stack wins and this is the thing. It's like, because there's so much talent and there's so many teams that are playing so well and that have so many different things they can throw at you, you just have to be able to capitalize in those moments. And so even today for the Spurs, shout out, there's no Victor Wembanyama today. And so they had to manufacture some offense in some ways they wouldn't have. And then the defensively, obviously, the changes, not having the DPOY on the court. But Malik Monk, 22, 9, and 6, really dominant game. DeMontis at 22 and 16, just a massive double-double, and 22 and 8 from De'Aaron Fox. And then DeMar DeRozan, 23 points. Again, spreading the love out. And I think that's really what the Kings need to do, how to maximize what they are. You spread out the wealth between your 4 best scorers. I think Keegan Murray, get 17 from him. Then off the bench, you get Kevin Huerter with 16 points. They have a lot of really good scorers on the roster.
They do.
And I love the way they utilize them today versus the Spurs team. And again, no Victor Wembanyama, but whatever. We don't really care. That still counts as a dub later on in the year. The Kings took care of business like they were supposed to.
Yeah, you get 22 points from Sabonis, 23 from DeMar DeRozan, 22 from De'Aaron Fox, 22 from Malik Monk, and they're all right around 15 shots in this game. Like you said, spreading out their love. That's going to be the key to them finding success in the season, and we'll see how much they can keep that going. The next game, Pacers and Bulls. This game was entertaining in the first quarter, and then a brief period in the third quarter. The Pacers get this 132 win, 123 over the Chicago Bulls in Chicago at the United Center. Tyrese Halliburton, who's been having a rough go this season. So many people have been talking about how his body language, he doesn't look right, things like that. 23 points on 17 shots today, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals in this game. How'd you feel about this game, Swipe?
How'd you feel about this game? What Zach LaVine with another great game?
Yeah, 14
Another
points in the
great
third
game.
quarter. Yeah,
What's going on?
we don't play
Zach LaVine was
defense.
special.
Yeah. No defense.
was
The Bulls are terrible defensively. I would say this. With the way that the Bulls do play offense and they're efficient and they hit nice threes, they hit take efficient shots, they hit them well usually. If the Bulls were even just a little bit less than mid, like we're talking about, like maybe if they could just hover around 16th, 17th, 18th as far as defensive rating, they'd be a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. But unfortunately, we don't guard anything. I don't think I've seen a team this bad consistently defensively, maybe ever. Constantly over 50 points in the paint. They average giving up over 50 points in the paint, over 20 points off turnovers. Not in this game, but the Bulls' defense is really what's dooming that team.
Yo, the Bulls gave up a 121 offensive rating in the half court for the Pacers today. That is horrific. I mean, that's awful. Like that's no defense whatsoever. That's like ole, 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 ole. Everybody gets in the basket. But again, I stand on this. I think the Bulls are incredibly talented at the guard position. I love the talent that they've been able to accumulate, and obviously, trying to just manage Lonzo Ball's injuries and just trying to get him ingratiated into the lineup again. Vooch is an interesting player. He doesn't, like, even tonight, like defensively, he just doesn't have the mobility that you want to be able to utilize him. And so the Bulls are constantly trying to like protect him defensively. But again, the Pacers are just a good team, man. Like, again, I honestly thought, Haize, given how the Pacers performed, they made the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think they were the second best team in the East last year, but they made it. I honestly thought they were going to be a solidified 6th seed anyway. So I've been surprised to see how off and on the Pacers have been throughout the year, but that's a good basketball team. So I think the Pacers and Bulls, that's going to be a battle we're going to be seeing for playoff positioning or play-in positioning for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. You got to see what the Bulls are going to do with moving off the roster so much trade talk around them, because if they move one is Zach or Vooch, they're going to plummet fast because they are the only players that can create in the half court for this team. And we'll see where that leads us, man. Another big scoring night, Utah Jazz, last game of the night, 141-99 over the Portland Trailblazers. The Jazz had 9 players to score in double digits in this game. Matter of fact, everybody that checked in but Michael Porter scored in double figures in this game. A Potter? Yeah, Potter, my bad. I'm so used to seeing Porter.
I was like, Porter, when did he get to the Jazz?
But I don't know if this is more to say of what the Jazz did offensively tonight, or this Portland Trailblazers team, who's won more games than I expected already on the season. They just were terrible defensively tonight.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. Like, the Blazers are just trying to figure stuff out as they go. Like, and a lot of this is just kind of figure out like some rhythm. Remember, like Klingon didn't play tonight. Robert Will, like this was just a crapshoot of a very young team. And Will Hardy is an excellent coach. And what they can do, like what the Utah Jazz can do, is they can score. And they got a lot of dudes that can create pressure. And I love Keontae George. I think if you know me at all, some of this is Baylor bias because obviously that's my alma mater. I think Keontae George is going to be an all-star one day. I love his game. I love the way he plays. 17, 5, and 4 today. He was a plus 24. Colin Sexton continues to be one of the most underrated guards in the league because he plays in Utah. I think he's going to be a trade candidate for another team, not for the Bulls. They already got 5 guards. Some team's going to pick him up and find a dynamic, explosive scorer. I really love the way that they were able to put together an offensive performance tonight. Again, despite the fact they're playing a team missing really his best defensive talents across the board today. But just a really, really, really solid win for the Utah Jazz. I don't know like how many more of those they're going to get this year, but these moments are important to show that you know that you have players on the roster that can kind of help you to figure out where you're going in the future. And as you're trying to, obviously head to another lottery system, you want to make sure you got players on your roster that are ready to play and that could be future like key role players for you one day.
Absolutely. We'll see how the Jazz season goes because they're another team that could look to move off some of the pieces on this roster at the trade deadline. I think we're in store for a very, very interesting trade deadline, but we'll cover that another day. Any last thoughts, Swipe, before we get up out of here, man?
It was just a great week of NBA basketball, a great night of NBA basketball. The highlight for me is still that Bucks and Celtics game, man. I mean, I walked away saying, man, we got some real hoops tonight in the NBA.
That's a fact, and it's going to be a fun rest of the season, man. We're a little over the quarter way through. Still got a lot of basketball left to be played. Teams are starting to find their rhythm. Players are getting healthy. Got some great basketball ahead, man. But all right, you guys can follow us at Locked On Bulls, man. I mean, at Locked On NBA. But thank you guys for tuning in, man. To Locked On NBA Game Night. Me and Swiper will be back next Friday as well. We out of here. Peace, y'all.